This is a guide to building wonders in Lek Mod Civilization 5 multiplayer. It's not what you would call a traditional sort of tier list. I'm not going to be ranking the wonders in terms of how good they are or what I think are the best, things like that. This is more a general strategy guide about how to identify what wonders are strong, how to decide when to build wonders, what wonders you should prioritize, things like this, so that in your own individual games you can decide which wonders are going to be strongest to build, give you the best chance to win. Wonders are something I see a lot of newer players struggle with, particularly because they over-prioritize them. They essentially think wonders are stronger than they actually are, and they play themselves out of the game by either building too many wonders or building and losing too many wonders. Trying to build wonders, I mean. What this guide is essentially trying to do is to try and help players map out their game strategy with respect to wonders, which wonders to go to, which ones to build, which ones to prioritize. That will help them improve their game the most. The first thing I have to say is that if you look at how good Civ 5 players play, you will notice that they don't build many wonders. That isn't to say that wonders are useless or that individual wonders are not strong, but when you look at good players play versus sort of upper mid players, often what distinguishes them is that the very top players have fewer wonders than the sort of upper mid players. And the reason for that is because they accurately assess the cost and value of wonders in the game. In Civ 5, there are some very strong wonders, wonders that are very synergetic with certain playstyles, and the top players tend to get those wonders, because the top players tend to have the best science and the best production. So they're the people who are getting to the text first, and they're the ones who are building the wonders first. So they get to choose the best wonders, and they only build a couple of them. And so the rest of the players, the rest of the lobby, picks up all those other sort of less impactful wonders. This is particularly true in the early game, in those first 100 turns, when wonders are primarily hard-built or versus being engineered. In the late game, almost all wonders are engineered. In the first 50, 60, 70 turns, most wonders are hard-built. So why is this? Why do the sort of more average players, so to speak, build more wonders than the best players? It's because the average players are doing two things. First of all, they're over-prioritizing wonders. They are thinking they are more valuable than they actually are. And second, usually, the more average players aren't doing quite as well in science. They're not pushing their tech fast enough. As a result, they have sort of a queue of available wonders they can build. You know, at this time of the game, turn 61, you'll have wonders like Terracotta, or Statue of Zeus, or Great Wall, or Parthenon that are still available, that aren't particularly great. So that if you haven't got to civil service, if you haven't got to education, if you haven't got to guilds, you have time to build those wonders, whereas the better players, they're already pushing those very impactful techs. They want to be building their workshops, they want to be building their universities. They don't want to be spending time on building a wonder that really doesn't get them all that much. So why do players, particularly worse players, the more average to mediocre players, over-prioritize wonders? There could be a couple of reasons. You could speculate with sort of behavioral economics or psychology about why people sort of fixate on these, nice shiny wonders. Why people fixate on something like Parthenon. Parthenon is 6th culture. 6th culture is not particularly strong. 167 hammers for 6th culture. It'd be cheaper to buy, or be almost as cheap to build 3 amphitheaters and you would have no risk. So why do people go for Parthenon instead of building amphitheaters? Or some other sort of more impactful thing? I think people sort of are attracted by the sort of the world wonder nature of it. If they have it, no one else can have it. I think people might be sort of attracted to the high price, this sort of anchoring bias that they see that because it has a high price in hammers, it must therefore be very valuable. Perhaps another reason is that there's a sort of perception that, I can build this wonder now, I can still get the infrastructure later. Do I really need a market right now, or an amphitheater right now, or a garden right now? I can build those later. I'll have time to build those later. But what I really want to do is build a wonder now. So, what do you do to properly price these wonders? How do you put them in there? How do you contextualize their cost? Because Chichen Itza, for example, is 201 hammers. What does that mean? What does that mean in terms of cost? It's sort of 201 hammers. That's the same as about 3 Colosseums. So 4 happiness, 201 hammers versus a similar amount of hammers for 6 happiness. You might think, okay, maybe that's not a great deal. So how do you contextualize the cost of a wonder like this? Well, something that new players, I think, do and fail to appreciate is that they only consider the hammer cost. They see 201 hammers, that's 7 turns in the capital. Yeah, okay, that seems like a good idea. But that's not the only cost of a wonder. There are essentially 3 costs to the wonders. There's the hammer cost to build them, which is the thing I think everyone understands. Something like Oracle, 167 hammers. That's not the only cost. You also have an opportunity cost. Essentially, what you're not building if you're building a wonder. So say, for example, if you're building Oracle, you're not going to be building probably a temple. You're probably not building stables. You're probably not building a watermill. These are all things you are doing instead of building Oracle. Or, for example, if you are building something like Parthenon, one of my least favorite wonders. If you're building Parthenon, you're not building markets. You're not building amphitheaters. You're not building gardens. So you have to contextualize the cost of the Parthenon versus the sort of delayed benefits of what you're not building. And then the third cost is technology cost. For example, with Oracle, if you tech philosophy, and you pretty much have to tech, not exactly straight philosophy, but to get to philosophy relatively early, you turn 35 or 40 in order to guarantee Oracle. If you tech Oracle, you go up the calendar writing philosophy, you're not teching towards sort of these bottom luxury techs. You're not teching towards stables. You're not teching towards watermills. Essentially, the cost of getting to the technology means you're also not building other things. There's a reason why, for example, Statue of Liberty is considered such a much stronger wonder than, say, Kremlin. Statue of Liberty is right on the path to labs. It's right on the SimCity path. It's right on a military technology. The technology cost of Statue is practically zero because you are not going out of your way at all to get to it. Whereas with Kremlin, you have to delay your labs significantly. And if you're not going for land ships, it's quite out of the way. You have to pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 technologies you otherwise wouldn't if you were just going straight for labs. Similarly, something like Chichen Itza on civil service, a SimCity tech, a military tech, perfectly situated. The tech cost of this is zero, essentially. No diversions are required to get to civil service. Whereas something like Notre Dame, it's on the way to middle casting, that's good. But it's delaying your universities by probably 4 or 5 turns if you get Notre Dame. Is that worth it? Maybe. It depends on what your game is. So that's really how you want to identify the cost of a wonder in a game. The fourth sort of quasi-cost would be risk. Something like Oracle is a heavily contested wonder. So you have to factor in that you're taking away from other things. You have to factor in the cost of the actual hammers that go into it. You have to factor in what you're not building instead of Oracle. And finally, you have to sort of calculate the risk that you might lose it to someone else. Because early in the game, you probably haven't met all players. It's hard to tell who's taking what. Someone could go directly to philosophy and beat you to it. And that could be quite a significant loss if you don't get it. So, all that in mind, what does that mean for the general balance of wonders in the game? If I were to make a tier list, I would say that all these sort of early game wonders would be quite low on the tier list. Take something like Temple of Artemis. Temple of Artemis is one of the strongest SimCity wonders in the game. It's plus 10% base food, which is massive. This is a massive, massive bonus. I wouldn't rate it that high as a wonder. Because when it comes available, you can't be thinking of Temple of Artemis. That comes available almost instantly. And you would also need to pick Honor to pick it up. What you should be doing instead of thinking of Temple of Artemis is you should be thinking about settlers. You should be thinking about getting your cities out, getting the luxuries improved, getting the workers to improve other tiles. All those other sort of very basic things. Circuses, coliseums, happiness for growth. You can't really be prioritizing Temple of Artemis. Temple of Artemis is a great wonder to get at turn 60 or turn 70 or turn 80. It's a pretty bad wonder at turn 15 or turn 20 or turn 30 when it becomes available. What about something like Petra? One of the most prioritized and sort of, I don't know what the word is, hallowed, popular, sort of iconic wonders of the game. A massive boost to a desert city. Some people, do great library straight into Petra because they think Petra is so strong. So it's plus 1 food, plus 1 production on all desert tiles. Compare that to the benefits of getting a single city. Let's just look at, Elephantine, not my best city. It's 15 production. It's 11 food. It's a better city. Just this city is a better city than the best Petra could be. At turn 61, not that long after you would get a Petra. It's a better city than Petra will ever be. Just now, not even talking about in 100 turns. So if you don't settle a good city in an attempt to go for Petra, really what you're doing is losing out. If I lost this city, for example, if someone else rushed to settler here and I lost the city, that'd be a much bigger blow to me than losing Petra. But people don't think in these terms. But if you want to be a strong player, that's the way you've got to think about this. This is a 15 production city, 11 food, turn 61. That's a better wonder than Petra is. So how do you contextualize the cost of Petra, taking that into consideration? And even Petra is a fairly late wonder. Think about something like Stonehenge. There are people who build Stonehenge before they build settlers. But a city like Memphis, which, for example, I might lose in a multiplayer game that's close to this other player. A city like Memphis, it's already got 22 production, 8 food. That's a better city. That's a better wonder than Stonehenge. And it only cost me, settler is what, 71 production. So that would be probably 50 production with my Liberty bonus. It cost me 50 production to get this city. Stonehenge, would cost me about 123 hammers. That's a way better wonder than Stonehenge that ever is. So all of these sort of early wonders, you have to think, yeah, they might be nice to get, but they're not more important than settlers. They're not more important than workers. They're not more important than the happiness I need to grow those cities. I've only built one wonder in this game so far. It was pyramids, because I'm the only Liberty player. But again, this was something, pyramids, great wonder, massively useful for liberty, massively useful for war. I didn't build it before my settlers, I built it after my settlers. It's not worth delaying all those cities. Think how much growth you lose if I were to delay all my cities by 5 turns. How much growth, how much production, how much science I lose. That's not worth pyramids. Think about something like hanging gardens. Hanging gardens is a pretty nice wonder. 6 food, culture, great engineer points, and a free garden. That's a pretty nice wonder. I see people straight rush hanging gardens some games. I see people rush hanging gardens before they build settlers to get something in 6 food. I mean, that's the sort of prize of the hanging gardens, is the 6 food. You know, a caravan. You know, you can get an animal husbandry. That's 4 food. It's a lot cheaper to build 2 caravans than it is to build hanging gardens. And it gets you a lot more food. If you tech straight hanging gardens, you're not texting for your luxuries. You're not texting for circuses, you're not teching for libraries, you're not teching for other technologies to improve your tiles. Are you really going to rush hanging gardens when it's the 6th or the 5th best food wonder in ancient and classical? It's these sort of things that sort of betray the wrong sense of priorities when you see people rush a wonder for sort of marginal benefit when instead they could have been building settlers, they could have been building workers, they could have been improving their empire in sort of more constructive but less flashy ways. So I want you to think about that the next time you want a wonder. You really got to think hard about the cost. What am I not building with those hammers? What other things could I be teching instead of going for those wonders? Well, what risk is there present of me not getting that wonder? So in this case, I'd use this engineer to engineer civil service, or engineer Chichen Itza. Chichen Itza is a very nice wonder. You know, the tech cost was nothing. The risk is really nothing because I'm engineering it quite early. You know, I'd be quite happy to get this wonder. The point of this guide is not to say never build wonders. The point is to say that you should be very mindful of which wonders you want and pursue those directly. Not waste time building sort of wonders you don't need or wonders that have a very marginal benefit. So how do you identify what wonders you need? Well, my strategy and the strategy I encourage for new players is very simple. You want to think in this game about what is going to limit you the most. Generally in Civilization 5, it's your weaknesses that determine your game more than your strengths. What that means is that usually your weaknesses in Civilization is that one point that you're lacking the most of. You know, maybe it's culture, maybe it's faith, maybe it's happiness, but it's that one sort of Achilles heel that is dragging your entire game down. So, for example, I'm Egypt. I'm building my nice burial tombs. Do I need happiness? Absolutely not. I've got 22 happiness here. I'm on my way to another golden age. Do I really need Notre Dame? Notre Dame's a very good wonder for Liberty Cids because of that 10 happiness, which just lets you grow so much. But would I prioritize Notre Dame in a game like this? Absolutely not. There was zero need for me to get Notre Dame. I don't need to delay sort of my universities for 4 or 5 turns for a wonder I don't need. That's why I went civil service instead. I can grow into all this happiness. There's no tech cost with doing this. This is the tech I wanted to go to anyways. You know, Chichen Itza is a much better wonder for me in this situation than Notre Dame. There could be another situation where I'm really struggling for happiness. I have plenty of food but can't grow my cities. That would be a scenario where you'd want Notre Dame. Likewise, I'm thinking of going, I think I've already opened patronage in this game. I don't need the gold. I've got lots of gold I'm going to get from sending trade routes to city-states. Do I need Machu Picchu? No. I'm not going to take an extra 3 turns out of my game, and then, the 200 hammers and the risk involved in that wonder, just for the sake of something I'm already going to have a lot of. What about faith? Well, I mean, I'm a Liberty Civ, I've got 7 cities, I'm going to be able to generate lots of faith. I don't need to build something like Hagia Sophia. I've already built my my temple and my capital. I don't need a faith wonder either. So in this game, I would think, I want Chichen Itza, and that's the only medieval wonder I'm going to get. This is something I strongly encourage for new players to try, is that you want to think about 1 wonder per era that you'll target. And that if you aren't the first person to the tech, don't build it. This is a very sort of safe way to prevent yourself from building too many wonders, and make sure what few wonders you have you actually finish, that you are the first to get them. Because I'm having a very strong game so far. This is going to be University's turn, 73 or 74, which for a Liberty Civ is very, very strong. For a Liberty game, that's very, very strong. I'm going to be teching so fast. I'm going to be needing to get aqueducts. I'm going to be needing to get workshops. I'm going to be needing to get amphitheaters. All of that stuff. I don't have time to be building Great Wall. I don't have time to be building Statue of Zeus. All of those things are miscellaneous. This is one of the reasons why you don't see strong players building so many wonders. It's because they're teching so fast. All of their cities are constantly building either infrastructure or units. Because you have to be keeping up. Building markets and aqueducts and coliseums may not be sexy, but it's what wins games. Wonders, the person who builds the most wonders isn't the person who wins the game, generally. Maybe in very passive lobbies that's the case, or maybe where there's a very, very large difference in skill, but it's production and science that wins games. And if you're really pushing your production science all game, you really don't have that much time to be building wonders. As it happens that I played ahead already in this game. I'm loading a previous game, or a previous save, and all throughout the rest of the game, I think I engineered Leaning Tower, I engineered Porcelain Tower, I engineered Statue of Liberty, and I hard built Forbidden Palace. So after this point, after I engineered Chichen Itza this turn, I only built 4 wonders for the rest of the game, and I think I'm at turn 113 labs. So very strong game. Not building all that many wonders. So in total that would have been 6 wonders. You really want to think when you're playing, what is my situation lacking? What do I need the most? What is going to be the most impactful? Because that will get you the wonders that win you the games. Not thinking about, what do I want more of? Not thinking of, what do I want to deny other players? Think about, what are your weaknesses? How can you address them? I think that's it. I think that covers all the main points. If you have questions or comments, please leave them in under the video. I think this is something that will be really helpful for newer players, just because it's a sentiment that I think really sets apart those really, really top players versus even the very good players. This sort of understanding of what to prioritize, and when not to build wonders as much as when to build them. I hope you enjoy. Thanks.